Why are men leaving the workforce? Bro, I think that's probably the super easy question to answer, I think, right? Like, guys, so if you look at how relationship dynamics are going in 2024, you can pretty much guess why, right? For the most part, men work almost exclusively to take care of their wife and their kids, right? And if that's not something that is, happening at the same rate as it used to, then why would they continue to do certain jobs, right? Specifically risky, dangerous jobs. Why would they? Like the risky, dangerous jobs that actually built the country. Why would they do that? What is pushing them to do that exactly? For what? Right? It's not like the average man wants some gigantic house to himself. No, I think the average man would be completely satisfied with a gigantic, warehouse. No walls, basically, right? A place where they can put their cars, their multiple collection of cars and video games and big screen TVs, et cetera, right? I think that's probably where most men will end up, right? If you completely make it impossible for the average man to find a mate, right? These are the times we're in. The gender war thing is an extremely crazy thing that's happening for some reason. Guys, we need each other. We do, right? But either way, let's go ahead and check this video out. Say suggestion via Discord, but that's my overall opinion. Men are not taking the super risky jobs any longer to build the country because they're no longer getting partners at the they're not. So, but either way, let's see what they say. Let's check it out. My opinion, obviously.
Men have been steadily dropping out of the workforce, especially men aged 25 to 54, who are often considered to be in their prime working years.
Okay.
As of August 2024, 13.7% of prime age men were not working, compared to just 7.2% in 1954.
The long-term decline in labor force participation by so-called prime age men is a tremendous worry for our society, for our economy, and probably also for our political system.
There's a surplus of prime age workers who could be working and aren't, and that's this puzzling problem.
The unemployment rate for prime age working men sat at 3.4% in August 2024. This number primarily includes those who are unemployed and looking for a job. But about 10.5% of men in their prime working years, or roughly 6.8 million men nationwide, are neither working nor looking for employment, compared to just 2.5%.
Guys, think of all the things that happened in this era, okay? And then just understand what exactly is happening.
5% in 1954.
Like, read between those lines.
What's surprising is it's not a COVID phenomenon. It's not a recession phenomenon.
And for every prime age man who is unemployed and looking for a job, there are more than 3, and some years 4, who are neither working nor looking for work.
So what's driving men out of the workforce? And if left unchecked, what impact will it have on the U.S. economy?
Oh, it's done. It's done. Like, based off of that graph, you can be fully aware that the crazier things get, right, the more this is going to happen. Because it's not like men still don't make up the overwhelming majority of these dangerous positions, right? So if they stop taking it, who's going to do it? Because around the world, right, we can look at what, for the most part, genders are doing large scale, and it's definitely not. It's not that that women are specifically chasing the contractor role, plumber role, large scale HVAC role. They're not doing that large scale, right? So, once men stop doing it, who's going to do it? It's the fall of America.
Nearly half of prime age men out of the workforce cited obsolete skills, lack of education and training, poor work record, or security issues as a reason preventing them from work.
Education is a very important predictor of a prime age man's odds of being out of the labor force.
The big impacts are on the non-college educated groups on their ability to enter and stay in the labor market.
Men who are not college educated leave the workforce at higher rates than men who are. At the same time,
That's
fewer
fair.
younger men have been enrolling in college over the past decade.
If you look at the geography of where the most prime age men out of the labor force are in particular, they tend to be in places that have experienced manufacturing declines. They used to graduate with a high school education and have good, stable jobs. They weren't glamorous jobs. They were, automobile factories, sometimes mines, other manufacturing jobs, but they were respected, they were stable, and they could support a family. Since then, due to technology-driven growth,
That's it.
a little bit due to Chinese competition, you've
That's
got
also
a lot
it.
of manufacturing firms and the places where they were located that were one-horse towns become ghost lands, right?
Wages could also be a contributing factor. Median annual wages for men with a high school diploma have fallen from just over $57,600 in 1973 to $45,000 in 2023, adjusted for inflation. At the
Yeah.
same time,
Whoa.
wages for those with a bachelor's degree or
It's
more
it's
have
risen.
increased by about
Absolutely.
$6,300 during the
Guys, really quickly, I'm just looking at this graph here. This is extremely indicative, guys, completely. So the people that were living in like a lot of these, like as she said, one-horse towns, education wasn't like the main staple in their life. For what? Because they didn't have to get extremely highly educated for the things that they were actually doing to make some type of income to support their family. Obviously, now that we see this here, this is going to almost be purely because we are moving in a way that is extremely technological, right? Like high tech, right? And a lot of the jobs that are paying that are going to be in that field. This is still not, I don't think, an average pay for everybody right now, bro. That's not the reality. But yeah, these are going to be jobs that are going to be tech focused, period, guys.
same period.
And you need
This
that
decline in
education for
earnings
that.
led to a 44% growth in the exit rate of men without a college degree from the workforce between 1980 and 2019.
I think, honestly, status plays more of a role than wages. As I said before, you had a manufacturing job, it was respected, you were part of a community, breadwinner for your family, you had organizations like unions or Rotary clubs that surrounded your job,
Right.
and that's gone.
In general,
I mean, yeah, it's gone because it doesn't look good on social media. That's it. Like, because I mean, if you're looking for a partner, for the most part, right, and your partner is heavily competing against some fictitious person and living a fictitious life on social media, yeah, that guy working this manufacturing job is not, or contracting job is not, I don't know, glitzy enough for social media. But either way.
men without children are also less likely to participate in the workforce
Absolutely.
compared to men with children.
Right. You have a
Especially
family.
men without education or training after high school.
What we have seen is a huge rise in the proportion of prime age men who've never been married, and a very, very significant decline in the proportion who are currently married and have kids at home.
Right.
And those two trends track closely
Okay.
with the big changes that we've seen about male attachment in the labor
Right.
force.
So basically everything I said before the video started. Yeah, guys, that's the reality. It sounds harsh. It sounds terrible, right? And I mean, it's too much accountability, I'd say, right? For some people, but like, just be fully aware. It is what it is. Like, no problem. Who wants to go back? Who wants to reverse time? No one does. But just be fully aware that there were definitely repercussions for every single action that we did societally. Okay, and this is it. Yeah, it is. It is what it is. I'd give America, bro, 100 years. Yeah, but all right.
Correlation isn't always causation, but looking at that correspondence is real important, I think.
Meanwhile, 57% of the roughly 10% of men not looking for work said their physical or mental health was the main reason for not being employed, with 55% citing a disability, serious illness, and or receiving disability benefits.
The whole question about the health
It's going to be depression.
and the mental health of male workforce dropouts is an extremely important and I think concerning one. Distressing proportion of the men who are out of the workforce say they're using pain medications every day.
A 2017 research paper estimates that an increase in opioid prescription between 1999 to 2015 led to about 43% of the decline in men's labor force participation rate during that period.
So then you have to ask, what sort of pain are we talking about? Are we talking about physical pain? Are we talking about metaphysical pain?
There we go.
There's an enormous amount of depression, mental health challenges that men in this grouping face.
Right. Yeah. That's a given. But again, bro, imagine if you are, men are men. Men are going to be men no matter what, bro. It is what it is, right? But if you are not able to, do a couple of things, let's say on a regular basis, because you don't fit into what's cool on social media, let's say, then you're going to be depressed. Right, you're not sowing your oats for the most part. If that's crass, I apologize. Right, but just be fully. You're not doing that. All right, listen. I'm trying to be nice here. No, I'm not trying to get canceled today. Right, but yeah, men are not really men anymore like that. Right. But all right, let's continue.
This is a chicken and egg question. Did you drop out because you were feeling sad, or are you sad because you dropped out and you're living on the couch?
Unemployment is really terrible for people's well-being. Often people adapt to all kinds of negative shocks, losing a kid, being widowed, whatever,
Right.
and eventually kind of come back. But long-term unemployment is one of the worst things in terms of that. So what you have is a kind of scarring effect, and it's worse for men because their identity is much more wrapped up in their role as a worker.
Men's declining workforce participation can potentially leave a lasting impact on the American economy.
It means slower growth of the economy, obviously. It means bigger wealth gaps within our society.
It certainly
Right.
will have an impact on our productivity and probably already is.
The U.S. has been experiencing a severe shortage in labor, still missing 1.7 million Americans from the workforce compared to February 2020. The McKinsey Global Institute estimates that U.S. GDP could have been $296 to $442 billion higher in 2023 if the country had been able to fill its job vacancies. However, some experts suggest the impacts of men leaving or never entering the workforce could be more sector-specific.
You need young men coming in wanting to replace those people going out. And so if men have primarily been in more manual labor, more blue-skilled and skilled trades, if they're older and they're leaving into retirement and there's not as many young men coming in, both because of declining cohort sizes, but moving in a different direction type of careers, we're going to be losing that sector of productivity.
Right.
Despite a steep rise in federal funding, the infrastructure sector hasn't been able to find enough workers, with the construction workforce shortage surpassing 500,000 in 2024.
We are a little concerned about the impact that inflation is going to have and has had on the movement of infrastructure dollars into the actual productive activity. Having a shortage of men in construction is going to raise a problem.
The trend could have a dire socio-political impact
Bro, 100 years.
as well.
It'll get worse in ways that we would not like. I mean, I think it would lead to more premature deaths, but it
Yep.
will also likely lead to radicalization and polarization because this is a frustrated,
Wait.
left behind group with no options.
I was speaking to my wife about this overall topic, and she basically was, she was saying a lot of crazy, right? But I guess the point. How about this? I'm trying to make sure that we say everything adequately today, guys, right? Because I got yelled at the other day by YouTube. But all right, okay. So why men are leaving the workforce? But so speaking to my wife about this topic, and she's basically saying, like, listen. I'd give the country, if we continue on the path that we're going right now, where men are starting to like get sick and tired of being sick and tired. She says 50 years, and I'm like, I don't know about 50 years. I think that we can hold out a little bit longer. Okay, as a group of individuals at least. But I say about 100 years. I don't see America being in a place where being in a good place at all. I speculate everything falling apart. And the only way to actually save it is for, I would say, men to travel as far away as humanly possible for a couple of years and then come back, right, with a wife. that'll solve probably every single issue that you can imagine in this country. Again, I'm trying to be nice here today, right? I think that would solve a lot, personally. But all right.
There are problems that government can address and problems that government can't address.
So one of the first functions that beats out policy is economic growth. You have a strong economy, you're going to have increased wage structure, and it's going to bring people back into the market.
More than a quarter of prime age men not looking for work cited insufficient pay as a reason preventing them from work. And nearly half said competitive pay, salary, compensation, and/or bonuses was a very important factor when considering whether to enter or return to the workforce.
That's fair.
For the young, better training, skills training, some form of post-high school education, encouraging that, maybe even subsidizing that. I think part of the youth mental health crisis has to do with what's next. What's AI going to do? What am I going to do? Are there any stable jobs?
All of it is social media.
I can't afford college. All those questions all come together. And so models that help them kind of give them a jump start can be really effective ways of intervening. And there are actually now really promising programs in high schools which teach kids financial literacy. They teach them about equitable entrepreneurship. They teach them about how do you foster better mental health as part of the workplace. And it seems to inspire kids to go on to college, right? Because they sort of see a pathway where they didn't see it before.
29% of men out of the labor force said that training and educational programs was another important factor in considering a return to the workforce.
Having the type of commitment from the employer to train and retain and offer upward mobility for workers, I think, will be very important. Trying to figure out more about career pathways in the labor market and not just the education side. So how is it that someone moves from first job, next job to best job? How do we help people understand and navigate?
Nearly a quarter of working Americans said they weren't satisfied with their growth opportunities in the workplace, compared to other OECD countries that on average spend 0.1% of their GDP on training their workers. The US spent only 0.03% of their GDP on job training in 2022.
Older age groups, it's tougher. You're probably not going to get these guys to retrain, but there are a lot of programs that have largely been pioneered in the UK, much more than here, but we're starting to pick up on them, that literally just try and reboot community activities. They get these isolated people in despair out of their houses. It can make a difference.
Social programs like disability benefits spark contentious debate.
It's very controversial. People have very strong opinions about this. While we don't know why it is happening, we can be pretty clear that the social welfare programs are helping, and the disability programs are helping to finance this situation in a way that was never originally intended.
All right, so for him specifically, I would say ask someone that is currently between the age of 22 and, let's say, I don't know, on the higher end, let's say 45. Ask a man what the problem is. He'll tell you. You seem not to want to point it out.
A 2018 analysis by the Joint Economic Committee found that 64% of prime age men who aren't working were receiving some sort of government assistance.
So the one benefit that they rely heavily on is disability insurance. One, because they often are unable to work if they have a physical injury or high levels of addiction or whatever. But it also provides health insurance, which is huge.
Very much against the initial intentions of the founders of the program. They've ended up with a perverse situation that too often subsidizes or even incentivizes helplessness and long-term dependence.
There we go.
Thought about a system in which we had a work-first principle where the incentives were for getting the training and then showing up at the job and then staying at the job, I think we'd be in a lot better place than we are.
So kind of like a meritocracy-based society. I agree.
Today.
However, some experts remain doubtful about whether altering the benefits program will lead to meaningful results.
I think until we deal with the deeper problem of ill health, ill mental health, these guys aren't going to respond to incentives.
Everybody
it's a much deeper problem.
Responsible for their brothers. Everybody's responsible for their neighbors and their friends. And we ourselves as citizens can help to shine a spotlight on this. It shouldn't be America's invisible problem. And the more that we talk about it, the more that we pay attention to it, the closer we get to turning this around.
All right, bro. Well, this was a very interesting video. I think it just basically confirmed a couple of things. At least there was a chart at the beginning of what was the chart for? Here, this one here. Let me go back to here. I would like to overlay this with like something like, I don't know, like a divorce rate or something like that, right? And I would love to see how that actually goes with it, or the rate of divorces in the United States of America. I would like to see that chart personally. But yeah, guys, it could be a couple of things. It could be technology. It could be the lack of finding any type of meaningful relationships. It could just be how hard it is, I guess, to find any type of meaningful relationship, I guess, right? And then obviously the advent of social media, where literally everyone does everything, it seems, exclusively for the benefit of impressing people who basically don't care about your opinions. They don't care about you. But people live for that these days, right? And unfortunately, the jobs that need the most amount of people are not the sexy jobs, the jobs that are not, they don't really come with any type of status. So they are not likely to impress, even though some of these jobs make much more money, right, than the jobs with status. Sometimes, guys, occasionally, right? But they're just not likely to impress a partner in 2024 social media days, basically, guys. But all right, guys, let me know in the comments. You can yell at me if you want. Again, my opinion is my opinion. But all right, catch you guys later. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Before we go, are you guys subscribed to the other channels? Logical Movie Reviews with Mr. L. Boyd, along with Mr. L. Boyd Music. Both are found in the description. Check it out.